Am I live? Yeah, you're live. All right, what's
I
up,
wish I.
everybody? Go ahead. What are you going to say?
It's just good to see all of you.
It's a trip, right?
Yeah, it's a really trip.
So, I don't know. So there's people just got on. Was I late? I was 1 minute late again. Ping up, ping up. All right, so tonight I have two guests on for the first time. So we have one is back by popular demand is Charlie from the Bronx, which many people wrote me and asked me about. Chucky was Carmine Persico Selly for a period of time, and the other guy here is Stevie the Greek. Stevie, where are you from originally?
New York, Astoria, Queens.
Okay, so what was the deal with Maine? Was back and forth since you were a kid, or what?
Nah, we moved up this way after junior high, and then after high school, I went back down to the city.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Chucky, where'd you live in New York? Oh, the Bronx. Duh.
The Bronx, right by East Tremont. Sheridan Ave was 1511 Sheridan Ave, right by 170, between Grand Concourse and actually it's right before the Concourse and Jerome Ave.
Okay.
Right down the street from Bronx Lebanon Hospital, 10 minutes from East Tremont.
Did you ever live in Chicago, or were you originally from Chicago?
No, I was run over by a car and I have implants, so that's.
Because I had people that commented last time.
No, I lived in Detroit almost 5.5 years.
Okay, all right. Because like I said, people asked me because they said they heard a little bit of Chicago in your voice or something like that. You know.
Never.
So anyway, okay.
Die hard New Yorker, baby.
Okay, cool. All right, let me shut this off because I'm going to be getting messages. All right, so listen, everybody. As I put out there, so the three of us were in Butner FCI 1. Steve, what year did you get there?
09, 10, somewhere's right there.
No, 08, I would say.
Are you sure it wasn't 8?
08 or 08 or 09.
And
I think it was Chucky, 9. Though. I think it was 9. 08, I was in Otisville.
Otisville. You came from Otisville. You must have hit 09 then.
08. And then from Otisville, I signed up to the drug program, and they sent me down to Butner.
Okay, so look, people that watch my show know that I was real close with Carmine Persico for years. He was like a father to me. I'm not saying every bit of it was great, because Carmine was Carmine, but he was no, really, he was more like a father to me than my own dad, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to my father. I was just with Carmine for a long time at a really growth period, I guess you would say, in my life. Chucky was there a lot of the time. He was Carmine's celly, as you guys know from the last show. And then you have Steve. Steve
truly was his confidant.
Yeah, I say confidant, and this is exactly what I mean. So, Steve, did you get the Daily News? Who got the Daily News? Carmine got the Post, and somebody else got the New York Daily News.
Carmine got the Post. I got the Daily News, and then Johnny G used to get the Daily News too.
Okay, because it was, regularly you would be over in either Georgia Tech or when we were eating in the chow hall, and you would talk to Carmine about articles that were in both papers. And is that fair to say?
It is. It is.
Okay.
He was like the grandfather I never had. And it's funny because I knew. So before going to prison, I knew one of his sons. I never met Carmine because he'd been away since I was a baby. And it just so happened, I had no idea he was even there. So when I get to Butner, all these guys from Otisville were like, oh, when you get there, you're going to see the old man, but we think he's in a medical center. They used to call him the old man. And it just so happened that I show up there, and there's Carmine. And damn, who's the other guy from Pennsylvania that was there?
Causey.
Carmine and Causey. Those were the first two I met when I got on the compound.
Yeah. Was Joey Testa at the one when you were there? He was already
No. Joey, I met Joey at the 2.
Okay.
Dude.
We won't talk about Joey right now. We won't talk about Joey right now. But yeah, so Steve, Chuck got to talk a while about his background. So go ahead and give everybody like your background, because you said you knew one of Carmine's sons. How did that come about?
My background, I grew up in New York. I was in Queens, Astoria. And, I mean, it's crazy because you speak to kids today and everybody knows a gangster, everybody knows a mobster, everybody wants to be a mobster, act like a mobster. The neighborhoods that we grew up in, it was just a part of life.
Facts.
Every neighborhood had one. They were there. You'd live with them. You saw them every day. A lot of guys wanted to be like them. So it just so happened where the neighborhood that I came from, it was mostly Gambinos in the area that I was at, and the Greeks had their own family, and they looked after the Gambinos. But in New York, there's all 5 families are everywhere.
Right.
I mean, other than that, like my background, I went to prison for drug conspiracy. And that was it. I got 80 months in federal prison for. I got caught with a little bit of powder, and when the weight came back, it was like 20 times what they caught me with. And
Yeah,
typical story. There was 16 people. I only knew 2 of them, and 3 of us went to prison, and the other 13 got to stay home. So it is what it is.
Right. Okay. So, you know what? I didn't realize until right now that you knew one of Carmine's sons. I missed that somewhere along the line. So now that makes more sense because I knew Carmine used to talk to you about a lot of stuff, right? So there's people have asked me, what is Carmine? What did he think about this? Is there something that stands out that you remember, like that? That he's. So I'm not trying to like get into his most intimate secrets or something like that, but when it came to like, what was the one they asked me about? Greg Scarpa or Michael Francis. I mean, I said some. What were some of the comments? Because let me be clear here. Stevie talked to Carmine about this stuff. Chucky, and I think you would agree, they talked about this quite a bit.
Absolutely, I said it in the last video. Absolutely.
Yes, and so Steve was definitely somebody Carmine Persico talked to. So I don't know. Steve, go ahead. We're just freestyling the interview. So go ahead.
I still to this day, even today, talk to Carmine's grandson and his granddaughter to this very day.
Oh.
And Stevie, I'd say, was like the adopted grandson. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So go ahead, Steve. What do you want to say? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You know what I really remember, Chucky? I'll hand it to you, bro. That day that guy got crazy with Carmine and Chucky ended up in the hole with Carmine. Did you guys talk about that at all?
Go ahead.
In the last video, we touched on it a little bit.
Go ahead. So give the backdrop, Steve. Go ahead. Do it.
The backdrop is we had our own table, and at the table it was 4 or 5 of us used to sit at. Now there was only room for 4, and it was our table.
That's right.
There was a lot of other guys. It's fucked up because there was a lot of other Italians that were Italian that couldn't even sit there, and we sat there. And that's
it was an honor to be there at that table.
And I had started the drug program. I'll never forget it because I talk about it to my wife a couple of times. Like, it's amazing I didn't lose my year, right? I would have given up a year and been in there probably regretting it. But at the end of the day, so I remember we had gone to chow early that day, and I went back to the unit. I was changing, and somebody comes running down there like, "Yo, Greek. Some guy just tried slapping Carmine. Your boy Chucky jumped up, choked the kid out, and they're all in the hole." So I remember everybody booted up, strapped up, and we went up.
Yeah, I'll never forget the thing you pulled out. I swear to God, it was like a what do they call him?
A sword.
Sword.
So here's the deal. So
Stevie goes and digs it out. He pulls it out. It's like this long.
So Chuck got sent to the hole. They gaffled him up and they walked you over to the hole, right? And
here's what they did. The male nurse hemmed me up from behind because I tried to run through the lieutenant twice. They grabbed me from behind, threw me up against the marble, handcuffed me, and took me and Carmine to the lieutenant's office. At the lieutenant's office, they said, "Do you want to say anything that happened?" I said, "I don't know what happened, period." Brought me to the hole. He went back to the unit. That's where everybody's strapped up. And then they went to the yard, and I was watching from the hole. I remember you sent my stuff up to me. I thought I was getting shipped out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
So-
said it before. Go ahead, Steve. Go.
So that happens. I didn't see the whole fight. We go to the yard, and it was all the DC guys, and they all showed up. We were outnumbered too, bro. We were like, there was 3 of us and like 30 of them.
Well, think about the crew though. You got Carmine, who was like 78 with the cane.
Right.
You had me, and then you had Robert, the he was a Norteño, who had a colostomy bag
And a limp.
and a limp. So think about that motley crew. You know what I'm saying? Right?
So I remember we used to, because coming from, Butner was soft. Nothing ever happened at Butner. If you've been a real prison and you go to Butner, it's like a country club.
Right.
Compared to like any other spot you go to. But I had gotten used to it in the handle of my sweeper, because it was a metal handle. It was like a bone crusher. I don't know, it was like this long.
It was.
And I used to leave it in there because even if you went through the metal detectors, it wouldn't go off because the metal pole's going to go off from your sweeper. So I used to walk around. I was a trustee on the yard, and I had it with me. And when I see them coming, that's when I pulled out. I had strapped up like something was going to happen. But those guys just wanted to talk. And I'll never forget. So we had our little, whatever you want to call it, in the yard with them. They got rid of that kid immediately. And an hour later, I'm in my unit, and I get called to the lieutenant's office. And they bring me into the office, lieutenant and the captain. And they're like, what's going on? I said, nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, we know what happened. We're only asking you guys one thing. Just give us your word. Nothing's going to happen to any of my officers.
Yeah.
And I said, nothing's going to happen to anybody. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. They basically told me I was full of shit. They knew that something happened. They knew what happened. And they were expecting retribution. And, that kid was gone after that. What the hell was his name? Antonio something, I think his name was. I can't even. I was trying to think of that the other day.
The black kid?
Yeah.
Chucky, you remember his name?
I do not. All I know is after that,
something.
Nothing happened.
Antonio something. I had it written down for the longest time.
I know Carmine got a visit the next day.
Well, I don't remember. Well, you were silly. I was going to say I don't remember it was the next day, but I remember. I remember. Thought the kid might be hit or something. It was a problem.
They got rid of him. They got rid of him like
quick.
Did you ever read the article in Jerry Capisci wrote about that incident, Steve, or any of you?
I did.
You know who gave up that info? You know who did that, right?
Mancini.
No. Frank Morocco.
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you serious?
Morocco, because Carmine almost wanted to choke him out after that.
So they had a history because
I thought it was Mancini.
No, it was.
No, I think Mancini took the blame for it.
So Mancini, boy, what a nut job that was. What a psych patient that was. But so Frank Morocco went home, and he got in trouble at the halfway house. And he was out like 9 days, and he was being frank, woe is me, everybody's against me. And they sent him back. So when he came back, he would not go down to the one. He didn't want to be embarrassed because he was that guy at the one. He had all that stuff. He's a materialistic person. So he went to the hole at the deuce and did the rest of his time. And then he ended up popping up as my neighbor. And he's the one that told me that he wrote that. Because the article was like pretty spot on. It's kind of slanderous towards Carmine, but he's the one that did that. He's the one that contacted Jerry Capisci. He told me that. Yeah, he sure did.
Horrible.
And there's a reason. When they were at Lompoc, Carmine had the Italian club or whatever it was at Lompoc, and
he had the key to the refrigerator. They let him do whatever he wanted there.
Well, they had the social club, they called it. That's
the Italian Cultural Society.
Yeah, so they had like, that's where they had the band, and there's pictures of him playing in the band and all that.
After that, he never took a picture again. He would refuse to take pictures because of that one picture.
Because of the
one with the bull.
Yep, one picture, that one, and the one with
him
and
the drums.
He refused to take pictures after that.
Yeah. So, but Frank Morocco, Carmine thought was an SIS informant. and he would tell me like how they would do it. Like, come here, Morocco, like shake him down. Come here, Lieutenant's office. We're going to strip search you. And Frank knew that Carmine knew that about him. I mean, Frank, I guess, is in prison now. I looked him up not long ago. I don't know if in the state prison is what it looks like.
Bro. That guy is.
He couldn't get
institutionalized, bro. He was smoked. So, I've seen a lot of fucked up guys. He was on a level of his own.
So did you ever see Fox?
Hated him. Huh?
With the passion. He hated Frank.
Hated that man. Hated
Frank Morocco was an Italian guy from Buffalo who
remember I slapped Frank once. I slapped him in the rec yard.
What was that over?
Right by the bocce court. I don't remember. Some argument he got into a car with Carmine, and then he was running his mouth, and then me and him got into it, and he was talking shit, and I just open hand slapped him right by the bocce.
Wasn't he in there for bank robbery or something?
No, drugs.
No, he was there for a coke conspiracy. They offered him like 5 years. He took it to trial, and they gave him like 27. He was mad at the world every day.
What a dummy.
Well, and check out what happened to him. He was on a food strike over some bullshit issue. And I mean, he went hard. Like, he didn't eat food. And then they came in and tested him. And when they tested his blood, they found out he had leukemia. So, like, the food strike was the reason. Because if you go on food strike, if you don't know, when you're dehydrated, when you don't drink water and you really go hard, which he did, they have to do blood work on you. And when they did the blood work, they found out he had leukemia. Yeah,
that saved his life.
Yeah, so here's what happened. He goes home, right? The second time. I wrote an article about him that was on my former website. It got a lot of views. This dude goes home and they want to charge him for his medical. I forgot how. Did you know Frank had some money?
Yeah, that's when he shoplifted. He went and shoplifted and waited to get arrested. He did it on purpose.
So he go back to prison.
So they pay his medical, and the judge was so fed up with him. The judge didn't even violate him. They terminated his probation and sent him home. The judge sent him back. He's like, "Send me back. I need medical attention."
Yeah, that's crazy.
Stole something in the store and then waited for the cops to come.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, like, tell the lady, "I'm going to steal this. Call 911."
Frank had a lot of money in stocks, right? A couple $100,000. Okay, he lost $80,000 when he was in the hole and was kicking on the door, screaming, get to the dinner. He's listening to it. He's listening. But they gave him the phone, and he stopped the bleeding. He would have lost like more, but he lost $80,000 in an hour and like was going to commit suicide. He went fucking nuts for real. Anyway, Frank Morocco, that's a trip. Man, I there were some questions people were asking me about. Well, not on here right now. You of all people know.
Let's touch on the night he fell asleep. We're in bed. We're sleeping. And I hear him say to me, "Hey, did you," because I used to sleep with the hat on, the cupoline. And he says to me, "Hey, Chucky, did your hat fall? It just hit my head." I says, "No." The next morning, I go back. We have our coffee, playing a little cards. I go in. I'm going, taking a piss. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a mouse on his bed. I tap him on the shoulder. I whisper in his ear. I said, "Look, you got to come and look at this." He freaked out.
He hated mice.
Hated them. I mean, we had to sterilize that cell after it slapped the mice. I mean, I think it was you that killed the mouse, Rob.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, slapped him with the broom.
Yeah, I killed. But he like petrified, like heart attack petrified of mice. And needles.
Oh, he was so skeeved.
Needles, like needles, like from
remember,
the hospital.
Remember that guy Teddy?
Which one?
Remember Teddy? He was like half Greek, half Italian. He was there on like a psych fucking evaluation, and he used to hang out with us a little bit till we got rid of him. He was another New York guy, Chucky. He used to be over there hanging around. That kid Teddy.
Teddy. So, that sounds so. I could picture the name, but can't picture the face.
He had like a little mullet, curly hair, New Yorker. He was there.
Yeah. And then there was Pete too. He chased Pete away. The guy who wrote a book.
Carmine and I, we used to sit there and we play bocce ball or backgammon every day. And we talk. We talk about this guy, that guy, what's going on back home. And I had a funny feeling about Teddy. There's something about him I didn't like. So it's like Carmine's telling me about a couple individuals. He's like, I'm afraid they're gonna get pinched. He doesn't want to pay his taxes. There's no reason for him to do that. We got a lot of good things going. And then it's like 2 days later, we wake up, and that's when they rounded everybody up. His son-in-law, everybody. When they rounded up like 100.
He was sick for days. I mean, reading every little piece of paper, grabbing, calling home.
So as soon as they round him up, right away, I'm blaming this guy, Teddy. And I told Carmine, I said, let me run this guy up off the yard. I said, I think he's a rat, because Carmine used to be worried because they already had planted a mole in his cell.
That's right.
Years ago.
Right. Yes.
Mike, the one in Lompoc.
Charging him again for Giuliani. They planted his celly had a wire on him because they were trying to get Carmine for trying to have Giuliani whacked.
Yeah, that was Operation Snake Charmer, they called it.
So ever since then, he didn't trust anybody. So right away, I'm pointing this kid out, and I'll never forget. Carmine goes, "Come on, Greek, let's go for a walk." So we started walking down the track. It was like a week later. He wouldn't let me get rid of this kid at first, and he's like, He goes, "See," he goes, "I found out today it had nothing to do with him." He goes, "You know what?" He goes, "If I had you on the outside, Greek, you'd kill everybody." He goes, "You assume everybody's guilty." He's telling me. He goes, "You assume everybody's guilty even though they're not." He goes, "See, if I would have let you, you would have run this poor kid out of here."
Yeah. Right. Man, I'm sitting there reading some of these comments as I was listening to you say that. People are asking me if I've ever done any time with any of the Persicos. No. Did you know Teddy?
I do.
You do.
His nephew or his son?
Nephew. Not the son, the nephew.
Nephew.
You do. Okay, I didn't know. Did you do time with any of the Persicos?
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. The only other one that was locked up really was, his brother was in Fort Devens. Carmine's brother. And then his son, Alley Boy, was in fucking Pensacola for the longest time.
He never got out, did he?
No, he's still in.
He's got life.
I know, but I mean, so every time he got ready to come out, didn't they kept indicting Alley Boy, right?
Yeah,
it's really a shame what they did to his family. I mean, you're talking decades and decades and decades of just time, and half of them have nonviolent crimes.
Well, his charges, the way they
his charge totally different, but still, you served 33 years. Come on, man. Compassionate release.
No. But the way they stacked him, what did he have? 5-year sentences stacked to 100?
Yeah, he had like 1,000 5-year sentences.
Ridiculous. And can you imagine? Giuliani.
He used to always say, as long as you have a number at the end of it, you can see daylight someday.
So Matt Mary was his attorney in the end and was working on it when he died. And it's crazy to think that a leg infection killed him.
I know. I couldn't believe that, bro. Out of all the shit that he had been through, all the shit that he had told me, like when they fucking shot him and he had the bullet stuck in his mouth
and spat it out
and refused to stay in the hospital because he thought they were going to come whack him.
Yeah. So I was
in my life, not to cut both of you off, I never in my life, first, it was an honor to meet him coming from the same place. Right. 2, never in my life have I met a man as tough as him at the age he was.
No, he was definitely, and I'm going to tell you something. And I've said it many times before. Coming from the West Coast, a lot of the mob guys have bad reps, like they're easier, soft to press and stuff. Not one person that I've ever met that did time at Lompoc or anywhere else said Carmine Persico gave anything to anybody, was soft pressed. It was total opposite. So I mean, and he was in Lompoc on the West Coast the whole time, and that was one of the rougher spots back then.
Even when he was old, even that day with the DC dudes, he came out with that cane swing. He could barely walk. Do you remember?
Yeah, but remember, I couldn't.
Use that cane, he couldn't even move. He was trying to kill those guys.
Yeah. I'll say another one, and I don't mean to get off topic, but Fat Sal Scalia. He was dying of liver cancer and swung and hit this guy. And that's when me and Tommy.
Fat Sal, he was in Otisville.
Yeah, well, he ended up in Butner Hospital. That's where he died. But he was punching people on the TV, young black kids. I got in a fight with this guy, and I didn't even know Sal, and we didn't even really care for each other. In the end, it was different, but it was crazy. So that was another one, man. Sal was another one that he didn't care. You know what I mean? didn't care age wherever he was at. That
They,
dude
they
was
don't make them like that anymore, bro.
no,
No.
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 Steve, what do you recall Carmine ever saying about what Scarpa's what book came out? When we
I'm
were there?
very close with Scarpa Jr.
You are, Chuck?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, well, who had the book? No, was it Gas Pipes book that came out when we were there? Right. One of the books came out. It wasn't Michael Francis. It was one of the books somebody sent him, and the person was talking about something that they said Carmine did. I think it was Gas Pipes. I think it was, but he was flipping out over that. I didn't know if you recalled that, or I don't know if you remember.
There was a lot of guys that he didn't like, and there's a lot of guys that he had said that the shit that they pulled, if he would have been out when they pulled it, there would have been a different outcome. There was a lot of guys he didn't like.
Sure.
One thing he used to say, and I don't know if he had ever, I think he might have said in front of you guys, he used to say, if I get out, buy stock in the airlines, because there's going to be a lot of guys leaving New York. That was his thing.
He used to put
he did.
He like the Mob Wives. He was sick every time that show came on. The black dude used to love watching it, and he used to get up and leave the room.
You know what's funny? When they shipped me off, when my points dropped, I went to the low. I was with Renee's father, TG. And boy, let me tell you, the arguments we used to get into over that TV show. The drama it caused was unbelievable.
Yeah.
What that poor man went through, and you know.
What about Francis? Steve?
What? I mean, he was one that he didn't like. He didn't like him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know if he said anything further. If you guys talked about it. I didn't know. I've only the comments he made.
He felt so. So here's the thing. Carmine's time was different. In Carmine's time, in order to get position, you had to put work in. You had to actually put work in, and you had to earn your respect. And there's a lot of guys that he felt did not earn the position that was given to them.
It was either bought or handed to them.
That we used to talk about. You know, you'd have guys that we're not talking like just running a crew, that were running their whole side of things on other families that he used to just shit on because he used to tell me they had no heart. And how do you put somebody in that position that has no heart?
Yeah. So one of the things with Francis is I was always told by other guys that one of the thing about Carmine is don't outshine the boss. Don't get a crew of, like, in other words, if the guy was an up and comer, you know what I mean? Too many people were talking about him. That guy had a problem. So, for example, Francis had the whole gas racket or whatever. There was issues back and forth, but he was kind of shining too bright. You know what I mean? And I think that Francis, well, Chucky, you were there when it came on and Francis came on, and he said, what did he yell? It was.
Oh, he used to get so mad.
It was.
Anytime he seen him or heard about his name, he'd go crazy.
It was when Francis said that he just had to step away, because you step away because you knew what was going to happen. In other words, you knew it was coming. Like, in other words, he got out because he knew he was hit. He
knew he was going to get clipped. Even after he was out, they had a $500,000 contract on him.
He shined too bright. That's what, and he had guys, because of the money he had, that were in his corner about it. I
mean, they made millions, billions of dollars through the gas tax scam.
Yeah.
And it was all cash money.
Bernie Madoff, Steve, you played a big role in the Carmine Persico, Bernie Madoff in the beginning. When Bernie Madoff, oh, by the way, real quick, did you do that? Are you in that documentary about Bernie?
I didn't do it. I refused to do it. I didn't do it.
You did at the end. Okay.
They called me up. They got me an airline ticket the first time I couldn't make it. And then they postponed it. They wanted me to go real bad. And she was like, I mean, I don't give a shit about the money, because I do good for myself. But they were trying to entice me with money. So they wanted me to sell them a prison picture, any picture of me, because they can't just pay you to do a documentary. They have to buy something from you. So that lady was trying to get me to send her a picture of me, and they wanted to give me $3,500 for a 2 hour interview. But the thing is with them though, not that I'm saying Bernie was a good guy, because I don't personally know him like that. I mean, I know him from prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't there. I don't think the documentary is going to be about anything. It's just
Positive.
about to make him look like a scumbag.
They're going to just make him out to be a scumbag?
Yeah, like all around.
So that's
and then they're telling me, they're like, well, if you don't want us to put it on that you guys were locked up together, we can say you're a personal friend of his. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know which is worse.
Yeah, it's dishonest too.
Yeah, you're going to put me on there that
goes for everything that you ever stood for.
Yeah, so when I hadn't been out too long when they contacted me, and I'm the one that originally said to go to you, Steve, and because you were the guy that brought a care package to Bernie. You know what I mean?
So I'll never forget, we were that morning, we woke up and everybody knew that he was coming. We found out he was coming to the complex, but we had no idea where.
Right.
And then an hour later, all these helicopters are invading the prison airspace. The officials are going crazy. They're all news choppers.
Right.
And lo and behold, we see the bus pull up, and he was the only one on it. It was like him and one other guy. They took him off. He had a beard, long hair. He looked horrible. And Carmine gave me a package, and he said, bring it down to him. And it was me and that kid, Drew Beck.
Drew. Oh, Beck. That's his last name. Drew Beck. I remember Drew. Yeah.
And they had put Bernie and Clemson unit in the dorms. So we walked in, introduced ourselves. And I'll never forget it, bro. It was like it was yesterday. This guy's in the dorms, and he wants to take a shower because you know how it sucks. You're traveling, you're chained up for like 8-10 hours, and he just gets butt naked right in front of everybody, like he's selling this country club to walk to the showers. And everybody, especially the black dudes in the dorm, went crazy, yelling at this guy, swearing at him. He was embarrassed. He's trying to get a towel, cover himself up.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
So when I saw,
he didn't have any prison etiquette. I mean, it's like anybody that you just go in, right? Who's got prison etiquette? Like you don't know. If you've never been in before, you don't even know what to expect.
So when I saw him, I was a law library clerk. So it was me and remember that the big fat dude Muhammad, the black dude Muhammad. Okay, so it was me and Muhammad were in there. I was behind the desk as the clerk desk, and Bernie comes walking back. So you said he had a beard. I saw him when he just shaved up, and he was going to get his bedroll.
He shaved before he left the dorms.
Yeah, and then he was smiling. He looked happy, and I was like, "What the?" You know what I mean? So Muhammad even said, "Man, if I lost $60 billion, I wouldn't be smiling like that." You know what I mean? It was funny. It was funny.
He used to joke all the time. He says, "I don't know where they get that number from."
Yeah.
And then when they were, I'll never forget. I know Stevie was there. We were sitting in the library because I was sitting at one desk. Rob, I'm pretty sure you were there as well, because they were auctioning off all his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was making a joke. I wonder how much I can get for my prison issue boxers.
You shouldn't have made a joke about it. Inside Edition would have gave him like 10 grand.
Oh, he was joking. He said, "I can't get over this."
That other guy, we found out he was a state trooper, that Frank Sargent. Remember him? He used to be in the ceramics room, guy from Vermont.
Yeah.
Frank Sargent. He was like an ex-state trooper that had gotten in trouble. I thought it was something weird. The guy got the self-surrender to Butner for like a 36-month bid. And he's the one that had stole Bernie's ID in one of his uniforms.
Oh, he's
put him in the ceramics. Put him in the ceramics and mailed it home. And then next thing you know, they're on eBay, and the prison officials are going crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they figured out how they were going to get the pictures out of the trio: Jonathan Pollard, Persico, and Bernie.
Josie.
Through the ceramics, right.
Josie with the pictures, remember? The cameraman.
I'll never forget when he put him in the cell. I'm sitting there holding the door down, and he's got him right there, boy.
Carmine hemmed Josie up over those photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he threatened him.
Told me, if you have them, you better give me it.
Yeah.
He swore up and down, "I don't have it. I would never do that to you." And after that, that was that.
I'm trying to think, Steve. There was a question, man. What did Carmine ever say about Columbo's the hit on Columbo? Not.
I mean, I don't know. What do you mean by the?
I'm saying that. Okay, so that was over the Italian club stuff, right? That's when he got hit in the center on the street. Okay. Did he think, was it FBI related? Is that what he's thought or said?
He thought so. He thought so. He thought it was an inside job, like government inside job.
Because of that, at that
like
time,
he was telling me back in the day, like some of the dirty shit the cops used to do. He was telling me one guy that they got to roll one time. They brought him into the precinct in Brooklyn, and he was just an associate, and he rolled on some other guys. But anyways, they were trying to get this guy to rat, trying to get him a rat, and he wouldn't do it. He would not flip. So the cops come up with an idea. The D-boys, the dirty motherfuckers in New York back in the day, bro. The cops, they were dirty motherfuckers. So they come up with the idea. They call somebody from the Post, and they have them write something like, we got into like a fake newspaper. He was telling me that for the next day to show this guy. So what ends up happening is this guy leaves the precinct, starts walking, and they got two undercovers with blanks in their gun drive by in a caddy, and one guy sticks his hand out the window and he's shooting blanks at one of these at the guy they wanted to roll. So what's the guy do? He thinks his own guys are coming to kill him. He turns around, and he runs straight into the precinct. Now he wants a deal.
Really?
And they found out later when they got the discovery, everything through some inside guys that Carmine had, that it wasn't even anybody from their crew. It was the cops that did it. And then they got the guy to flip.
Wow. Yeah, that's some. I was just trying to read and see if somebody's asking funny tales. Just I always feel sad. It's a waste of time. Yeah, that's I knew you talked to him a lot. I know he had some thing. Oh, let me tell you what surprised me. When John Gotti Jr. was on 60 Minutes, and he actually said that he was a sharp kid. I was a little bit shocked at the time because of the interview. You know what I'm saying? Do you remember anything about that, Steve?
Well, yeah, the rest of them he hated. He hated the Gottis.
Yeah, I mean,
despised them. That was like the second touchiest thing, other than you couldn't.
Yeah, you never brought that up to him because it would set him off the worst.
The Gaudis would set him off, and the worst thing that set him off was the fucking ex-mayor there, Giuliani. You couldn't even say that name around him.
Oh my God. If he saw him on TV, he'd get sick.
Oh, can you imagine though, now if you would have saw him during the Trump years and all that stuff, when like the fall, like how Giuliani was in the end, you know what I mean? Or how he's been. He would have loved that.
Yeah, actually,
it would have also pissed him off because, you know, he always said he was a corrupt bastard. You know,
he did. He used to tell me that they like Giuliani was a fucking trans. He used to dress up in like women's clothes.
That's 100% facts.
Oh, he did say that. He did. I forgot all about that.
They had found out even when he was a prosecutor, he used to dress in women's clothes and like parade around his apartment dressed as a fag.
Gracie man, wow.
So he told me one time when Giuliani was going to run for president or was thinking about it, he told me he had some dirt on Giuliani that if he ran, he was going to give me. Like he had something, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like I forget the woman's clothes or Giuliani running around it like in a drag queen or whatever. And yeah, I mean he did say that. But I remember talking later on to Steve Fishman, who was that reporter that did a bunch of stuff about Bernie, and I think it was Steve who felt that Carmine had knowledge about it too. And that was just something I always wondered. I wonder what it would have been. You know what I'm saying?
And speaking of Carmine, you know what was disappointing? That after this man dies, I don't believe for a second. I mean, here's the thing, right? You find out that people testify. Everybody gets shocked at one time or another, okay? But I don't for a second believe that he was an informant.
Never in my life. Never in my life. I even wrote something about that. Listen, I lived with this man, ate with this man daily. There's no way possible.
I find that so hard to
That's
believe.
slander on his good
Well,
name. And
so
this is a man that used to tell me all the time, if they ever give me compassionate release, we'd have our coffee in the morning. He'd put his arm around me. He said, "You're coming up to the farm to take care of me."
I was just looking to see what my wife's doing. Yeah. Well, I don't know. He also said don't buy airline in stock. I buy stock in airline because people be running. Giuliani is a snake. It was the New York Post rag that threw it out first. They're talking about the story about Carmine being called a rat from Arena, right? From Nick Arena. Nick's his attorneys. Vic's attorneys. What, Rudy? Oliver something for the time like that.
Yeah, and Vic and him hated each other. So anything that Vic Arena or whatever I don't believe a word. Corner.
Wait, Sid.
Well, he put Vic. Vic was his cousin. He put Vic in power, and Vic didn't want to give up the power after.
I need that, babe, just in case.
Because you were locked up with Vic, weren't you?
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, are you talking to Chuck or are you talking to me?
You.
Yes, I was at Terre Haute with him.
And you couldn't even mention Carmine's name to him.
Well, he came up to me immediately when he found out. Somebody told him that I lived with Carmine for years and I was close with him, and he came up to me immediately and said, "It's a shame what happened between me and Junior." Babe, what are you doing? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I was the way you were looking. I didn't know. Okay, because people are calling me on that phone to tell me certain things. That's why I needed it. I'm sorry.
What a shame.
I'm sorry, but yeah. So, but he was the opposite of Carmine. He was the guy that liked to take a lot of photos. Like he went on the yard. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't need to know who was who or who was what. So he was the opposite in that way. But yeah, he was telling me what a good man Carmine was. Well, he said Junior. So it was like, that's how he played that. And of course I knew, stuff from about how that all went down. Did Carmine ever talk about Sonny Francis? We all know his son's stories, but I think it's fair to say that we would rather hear about Carmine and Sonny Francis. Steve, any comment on that?
No, I don't. He never mentioned him.
Never talked about that?
No.
So you can't think of any article that was like that came out that was something that nobody
talked.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you, he talked about them when they called his cousin Fat Andy Mush a rat, and they had to clarify that. That was in the New York Post.
You remember that, Steve?
No, I don't. I don't remember that.
They had to retract it because it was a false statement they made.
I don't remember that. I remember he was really upset because his son-in-law didn't want to take the deal.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't want to take the deal, and it fucked it up for other guys. And there was a few guys out there that was trying to say that maybe he's cooperating, and he was fucking wild about that. And that was his golden boy.
Angelo.
Yeah, that was his golden boy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like his golden boy.
He's a good man.
And the other guys, two guys, I'm going to say their name, that he really thought that they were clowns. And I know one, I don't know the other. Alphonse Siska and Arnold Squateri. He thought both of them, because they were running the Gambinos for a while, they were boss on their boss. And he thought that they were soft as soft could be, is what he used to say. He has zero respect for them. There was a couple articles in the paper about them, and one thing about Carmine was, if he didn't like you, he either despised you and would make it known, or you were dead to him and you didn't exist.
Right.
He'd say something once and then that was it. It was better off for him to just not even give you any time than to even fuck with it. But I mean, we could, like, his stories. This man, that he originally owned the property where the MGM Grand in Vegas is.
Who?
Carmine.
Yeah, because they blackballed him out of Vegas years ago.
That was his. So what happened was when the whole Cuba thing was happening, they had been guaranteed by the government to be able to do their casinos there, with the whole Bay of Pigs and all that shit.
Yep.
And then when they decided to go to Vegas, that land, if you go back and look, that was owned by Persico. And then slowly the Indian Commission, all that pushed them right out, because we used to talk about it. How I used to tell him, hey, Junior, Carmine, imagine you still had that property today. And he'd say, yeah, right. They made sure that never happened. That wasn't going to last, he'd say.
I never even knew that. I never even knew that. Yeah, it's true. Did the Whig not accuse Persico of being an FBI snitch? Who's the Whig? I don't know. Giuliani, maybe? No. I'm just looking at what somebody said. Rob man, a lot of mention. Even nice guy, Rob's earlier prison stories, man, a lot of mentions in one cross paths with a lot of faces. Okay, Dale, I was just trying to think. Bernie Madoff's shank. Bernie Madoff shank? Did Bernie Madoff have a shank?
No.
No, I was like, I'm trying to think of what.
He had a lot of pride. Remember that guy slapped him over the TV, and we went and we asked Bernie who it was, because to Carmine, somebody hit Bernie. It was like an insult to every New Yorker.
That's right.
And Bernie wouldn't give the guy up.
So I remember when there was another incident, a kid sat in his chair and he snatched his foot. Do you remember when that one
Bernie had gotten slapped because the guys were watching the TV, and he got up and he thought it was his, and he went up and changed it. And in Clemson unit, they didn't have TV rooms, and there wasn't multiple TVs. There was 2 TVs, and one they used to keep it on the news, and then the other one they'd have BET or whatever it was. And Bernie wanted to watch some show, and he got up and went to go change the channel, and the kid slapped him and gave him a bloody nose and a little bit of a black eye. And Bernie was telling everybody that he slipped his blood pressure medication.
And he slipped off the bed or something.
He slipped off the bed.
Stop. Wait. You're saying right now that when he got brought to the hospital that night, because he went to the outside hospital, you're saying that wasn't a blood pressure medication issue?
No, that wasn't.
Okay, so before that happened, we're talking about he was only there about 3 or 4 weeks. There was somebody that sat in his chair where he sat and had his foot up, and Bernie grabbed his ankle and pulled it, and the kid fell back. Do you remember that? That he wasn't there that long.
No, he wasn't. I remember that, but there wasn't an altercation over that. This was an altercation, but Bernie had too much pride. Bernie wouldn't tell us who it was.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now.
He never gave up the guy that hit him.
Hey, I swear, Bernie told me I just took general consensus word for it. I've told people that Bernie never got assaulted.
Yeah.
So what you're saying right now is even new to me, because I was friends. I walked the track with the guy, and I think I did an article about it even, but it wasn't I never Bernie, did that really happen? Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? I just heard it came back that he had the blood.
Well, there was somebody that had told me and Chuck that they saw it happen. That's how we found out.
I remember sitting there with you.
This person was not like somebody that was going to make up stories. They were like, no, that kid hit Bernie.
We weren't going to stand for that. Not another New Yorker, no matter who it was.
Well, there's breaking news. Anything I've said in the past is a lie.
And then I remember Carmine was ready to choke that kid Teddy because he was going to try to extort Bernie for a soup a week.
I remember now who it was. I remember now.
And he's like, Greek, if we let this guy extort this jerk off for a soup, we're going to be the laughing stock in New York.
Oh, yeah.
That kid Teddy, remember what I'm talking about?
Now I know who you're talking about. When you said, because I remember that. So Carmine knew that Bernie got assaulted?
Yeah. Yeah, but he wouldn't tell us. And then after that, basically what happened was Carmine, since he didn't want to give it up, Carmine basically said, fuck him. Let him be on his own, basically.
And then he didn't come around us too much.
He didn't come around us, and that's when he stopped kind of sitting with us. He was sitting with that guy,
back the other way.
Palmer. That was Steve's last name, the guy that sent the mail bomb to his wife. They used to hang out with Pollard all the time.
Yo, that guy was nuts too. I don't think he was playing with a full deck.
I'm going to tell you guys something right now. I'm sitting here going back through it in my mind as you're saying this, and you're talking about that is when Bernie and Carmine didn't talk as much, was after he came back from the hospital.
After that.
About a few weeks later, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't tell us. He wouldn't give up who it was. He basically in a nutshell, told us that he can take care of himself. And that's when Carmine was like, all right, then fuck him.
So, wow. I'm just trying to think. I wonder why Carmine didn't say. I mean, you guys are from New York, obviously. You know, I mean, so they had that New York thing going between you guys. Carmine also thought I had like a hair trigger. Chucky's seen it in the unit a few times. And I'm wondering if he purposely didn't say something to me because he felt like I was going to do something. I'm thinking out loud here because it's kind of amazing to me that I was right there and I missed that. I swear to God, like I'm like.
And I thought you knew all these years.
I swear to God, I have told people repeatedly over and over again, Bernie Madoff did not get assaulted. Bernie Madoff's bullshit. I swear to God, I meant that. But now that you guys say that, and I'm thinking about it, going, holy shit!
I remember Carmine saying, "Just let him be on his own. Don't let him do his own thing."
If that's what he wants, let him do. And then after that, he started hanging out with Pollard. What was that guy? You remember that guy, Steve? I'm talking about. He's the mail bomber. I think he's another like long-termer lifer. Him and Pollard used to be together all the time.
I mean, I remember Bernie started sitting in the back of the chow hall. He didn't sit there. I remember that was right afterward.
Yeah.
Gee, I can't believe I missed that. I was probably too caught up in emailing Marta or whatever, because that was about the time she came into my life.
And then Anthony Mancini, he hated him too, because every time
what a passion
used to come sit at the table, he'd always want to talk about other guys like oh, this wise guy this and this guy that, and somebody that I know spoke to him on the outside, and Carmine used to tell us, that fucking asshole doesn't know anybody. He's just making names up, he used to tell us.
Wait, are you talking about Mancini?
Yeah.
The pill, he called him the pill pusher.
The pill pusher, the pharmacist.
He was a pharmacist. Yeah, remember? Hey, do you remember when Mancini, who told him you were involved? You guys, I think you were involved for sure, Steve, about 60 Minutes. We said that he was mentioned on 60 Minutes with Bernie.
Yes.
And then Mancini's like, yeah, my wife said that the reporter's out in front of the house.
Yeah.
Remember all that?
That's crazy.
Fucking nut job. Man, for anybody, let me do a backstory here. So there was a guy named, what was it? You said Anthony Mancini?
Anthony Mancini is his name. He was the pharmacist that got caught like stealing pills or some shit like that.
Oxycontin shit.
Yeah, so he was special. He was a mental health patient. Anyway, he also told me that when he got out, the guys from New Jersey contacted him. They wanted to run the family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you how full of shit, how much bullshit that is.
Right. So,
he couldn't run a pharmacy. How's he going to run a family?
He couldn't run my sock drawer.
And he's also the one that said that Bernie told him he had millions stashed and all kinds of crazy shit.
He was actually one of the first ones to start reporting on Bernie.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So Carmine, I mean, just hated this guy. And one day we told him, I know it was me and you, Steve. I don't know who else is involved, but we told him that he was on 60 Minutes, or they mentioned his name on 60 Minutes.
We lied to him, right? We lied to him.
Total lie.
Yeah,
nothing.
60 Minutes.
We just made it up.
We just made it up.
Man, Bernie, you were on Mancini, you were on 60 Minutes. They mentioned your name, that you were friends with Bernie Madoff. And he says the next day, I talked to my wife. She said, what did you do? There's reporters camped out in front of our house. It was all bullshit. This is what a psych patient is.
We wanted to see how full of shit he was. So we just make this stuff up.
Wow. Hey, man, I swear to God, I'm like, I feel like a little slapped in the face with this Bernie stuff. I swear. Because I did not know that he really got assaulted.
Because, my unit, Virginia and Clemson, were connected. So anything that happened in Clemson, you'd hear about it.
I'm just thinking about. I'm just thinking about.
He had a little black eye and he had a bloody nose. And at first he tried telling us that it happened at the water fountain. Bernie at first said it happened at the water fountain. He was drinking water and he hit his face.
Once his story switched, you knew he was full of shit.
And then he said he fell off his bed.
Coming out of bed.
coming out of bed. And then that's when the kid said, no, he said it happened in the day room in front of like 4 or 5 other guys. So we went and asked Bernie. We said, hey,
we gave him a chance to totally have his back, totally fix the problem.
So,
and he didn't say a word.
So my bigger thing is like that Carmine didn't say nothing to me, and I'm just wondering. You know what I mean?
At that time, it really wasn't that big of a deal. He was just pushed away. He just said, "Let him do his own thing." That's it, and left it at that. At that time, Carmine had a lot of other shit going on, especially with his family.
So, but it's not that. You know what I'm saying, Steve? So there's like a reason he wouldn't have said it to me. Is what I'm getting at, and that was, I think it was around the time that I got into. Who was the kid that was a celly before you, Chuck?
G.
Actually, last I knew, he was on the run. They're looking for him still.
What?
Gabrielle
Oh,
not him. Not
the
him.
Black kid. The one that kind of looked like.
There was another one.
Black kid. Oh, I thought you were talking about G, the Spanish kid.
Nah, he was no.
He's on the run. By the way, with the Spanish kids on the run.
Yeah, I tried. You know, when I first came home, he got a hold of me.
He tried to get a hold of me too.
And he was telling me he was doing something with like movie production because he was gonna like be the next producer or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like a year ago. One night, he just popped up. I was bored, and he popped up, and I said, "Let me see." I searched his name. I was trying to see maybe he's got a new Facebook page. And some U.S. Marshals thing popped up that like been on the run, probation violation, and they had his picture. And I still don't think they caught him. They think he's in Mexico somewhere.
So
he had a lot of contacts over there.
No, he had access. You know what I mean?
He was a serious at one time he was a very, very serious player.
Yeah, for sure. And I figured he was probably hot too, actually, because he got 10 years. Well, he got 10 years at the time. They had a lot of. That was just my gut feeling. I could have been wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because I forgot the number of kilos in that case, and he got 10 years. You know what I mean? He should have got more for.
Because I remember he used to that boxer De La Hoya.
Yep.
Had stole his girl.
Yep.
He used to hate De La Hoya. We tried watching the fight one night. He wouldn't even watch it. He got up like disgusted. Stole his girl.
Yeah. Yeah. I know somebody who fought De La Hoya. We call him Stuttering Brian. He was at Leavenworth. He was an ex-boxer. And then we gave him the name Cockbook Brian because he was one of those dudes that just fiended on porn books all day. He was that guy, you know. But he was cool. He's from San Diego, but he knew De La Hoya well. Anyway, so I'm just trying to think other things. Steve, when you went to the Deuce for how long? A button or two?
I don't know, like a couple months.
For why?
It was just, I don't know. I woke up one day and they're like, they needed the room. So at first they didn't want to give me they were going to delay me on the drug program. So they needed the room. Plus, I think they were trying to break us up is what I really think it was. They were trying to break up the groups that we had. Because Carmine got to do whatever the fuck he wanted there, in a way.
Yeah. No, he did. Do you know who Benny Giarratano is, Steve?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew him. I now understand what somebody's saying. There's a guy named Jeff Nadeau who does a show called The Sit Down. It's a mob show, and he was the one that said Carmine Persico was an FBI informant. That lie was disputed by many. I personally do not believe it. So let me get back to this real quick. If he was, I don't know what he would have gained. He spent most of his time in prison. Having said that, and I've said this openly, this isn't a dig at Carmine. Those guys, a lot of guys in positions of power, they had contacts with a lot of dirty cops, right? Okay. So, would you dispute that, Steve?
No, and that's a part of doing business. So to me, that's not. So here's the thing: in the neighborhood I grew up in,
it's okay. Go ahead.
Depends on which way you look at it, right? To some people, it might be ratting. To some people, it might not be ratting. To each their own. If a lot of guys, there was cops that if you wanted a problem to take care of, you sent them to take care of your problem.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? Like, for instance, there's a guy that pops up off 84th Street in Brooklyn where it's like Carmine owns still to this day, like 2 blocks there. All right. You got a guy that's going to set up on a corner and start selling crack. More than likely, somebody's going to point the cops and get him the fuck out of there.
Right. He's disturbing our money.
Those same cops are going to turn an eye when one of our guys does something.
Right. So
some people, maybe they consider, I don't know, that's what I'm saying. It depends on how you look at it.
Let me point one thing out. Don't you think Greg Scarpa Sr. would have said something?
I think
through all the years, don't you think Lee DeVecchio would have known something or said something? I'm telling you, Carmine has my heart to this day. I miss him. I hope he's resting in peace, and I hope he's finally at peace. And it's just ridiculous that that statement was even made.
So here's what Michael Francis said this about this very issue. Michael Francis says, no way did Carmine Persico, no way was an FBI informant. And then in the same interview, or the same, it was an interview, what he also said was how the mob has been working with cops for years. And he pointed out, like, the Son of Sam. When the Son of Sam, they were looking for him, they went to mob guys. Mob guys were helping, like, find the Son of Sam, okay? My point is this. So, and you can go on and find where cops have worked. I mean, mob guys have worked with cops on different issues. And I'm not talking about putting guys in jail per se, okay? I'm just talking about in general for different. So when you, okay, let me ask you guys this. You guys are both from the streets, from that life, right? You guys grew up in that, influenced by the mob, I should say.
Absolutely.
If you were kids and somebody would have said to you like that, I'm trying to think that Columbo or Paul Castellano was helping the law enforcement find the Son of Sam, wouldn't you as kids like thought differently? Like, why are they working? They're supposed to be like the anti-cops. You know what I mean? Why would they be working with cops? Would that not cross your mind like that, truthfully?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, because you'd see these guys on one end. Like, I knew a lot of cops that worked for guys.
Yeah, they were on the.
Like Steve said, it was a part of doing business.
Right. I knew cops that would show up. Right. I knew cops. I know a guy that used to carry a lot of money, and it was dirty money. And the cops every day after shift would come by his office and drive him to his house, police escort. So now you
that still goes on today.
Why are the cops? Is he working with them? He's paying them for service. It's different. Like, in that lifestyle, it's different because, guys, you use people. Instead of sending one of your guys to take care of a problem, right, and start a war over this gang turf or over these guys setting up a corner, for them, it's just easier to say, hey, you make a phone call, and they're like, yo, I got these 2 Spanish kids, for instance, or these 2 Irish kids or 2 Greek kids, and they're selling crack on my corner. Get them the fuck out of here. And then they're going to charge them. So in a way, it could be considered as ratting, but to them, it's business.
Right. So this is kind of what I'm saying. I don't believe he was an FBI informant sending people to get out of a deal of this, but I believe probably, like a lot, they had a working relationship with law enforcement.
He did. I mean, if you think about it, back there in the Bay of Pigs, when those guys were supposed to set up the casinos in Cuba, they were working with the government. There's no way they weren't. Sure.
So I got to read this comment.
The government was trying to use them to take care of their problem in Cuba. The government was using the mob.
Yeah. Okay. I got to, Javier Jim. I am trying to get them to touch on Sonny and not Michael. Okay. So you never heard nothing about him talk about Sonny, right, Francis?
No.
Okay. Hold on. So that answers facts over feelings. I'll go back and try to read some of these. There's just a lot that came in. Craig, 5835. J. Edgar Hoover, never married, and a rampant poof, used to dress as a woman. Well documented.
Correct.
Giuliani, listen, Giuliani has kids and several ex-wives. I think Carmine was sour grapes there to put worst rumor around. So basically, by us telling us that Giuliani used to wear women's clothes, I need to answer that real quick because I got a response for Craig. Carmine had said this too. Giuliani, I don't know about today. None of his kids would talk to him. None of them. Okay. Carmine Persico, sitting in prison all those years, all his family was talking to him. All his kids had a relationship with him. I know that there were some issues, and I'm not going to get into that. There's one of the granddaughters or something, and once upon a time, I don't know what happened in the end. But in general, Carmine Persico's family, at least from what I saw and the visitation, and we're close. Giuliani's family disowned him. I don't know what happened now. And as far as the ex-wives, is that when he was mayor and had a wife and was screwing around several ex-wives? So I don't know.
Let me touch on Carmine's family today, because I'm still in touch with his family today.
Yeah.
They all own successful businesses, businesses from New York down to Florida, and they're all doing very well. Real estate, lawyers, all successful businesses, airplane services, limo services, you name it. Very, very, very successful.
Funeral home, pizzerias, they got everything. And
everything.
And here's the thing, like, that's what was a shame about his oldest son, Michael, because Michael's never been involved in anything. Okay. And that's no bull. That's the God honest truth. Is out of all the guys I know,
he was a school teacher.
Was never involved. He owned the dealership, car dealership. They had the supermarkets with the liquor stores, and it was a play by the government. Now, people can say I'm crazy, conspiracy theory, whatever the hell you want. All right. The only thing that this man was alleged of doing, if you look at the case, because I talked to Carmine about it in depth. He sat down at a table with a bunch of guys, and one of the guys said, "This guy owes us money." And it was a friend of Michael's, and Michael said, "Just give him some more time. Don't give him a hard time." And they tried using that as saying that he must be running stuff for his father and brother. And in New York, just like a lot of other states, if you're a convicted felon, you cannot have a liquor license. So what happens to all those supermarkets, all those liquor stores they own, all the bars and restaurants they own? If you can't have a liquor license, you can't run your business. It's a money thing too. It's a money thing. And in New York, if anybody's from New York knows this, you can't just go apply for a liquor license. There's only X amount of them.
Right.
That are given, that are
somebody, or if somebody
that are sold,
it,
right?
You're next in line. That's it.
Somebody said, Chucky, I occasionally see his granddaughter around town upstate near the Blue Farm. Nice one.
Yes. She's a absolute sweetheart.
Which daughter? Which granddaughter?
Desiree.
That's all it said. Yeah. That's I actually.
He's the one that was traveling the world for the longest time.
Yes.
So I'm going to say this. You know which one this isn't. Like,
she's also the one that helped try to get him out of prison.
Yeah.
Okay. No. The one he it's because of the nickname that he had for that I always remember. That's Jack-a-Rack. Because he talked about. I mean, I'm not going to. We didn't talk detail, but that name. You know what I mean? Because I forgot how they came up with it, but that's the one that he used to laugh even when he said that name. That was, so I thought, but I knew that I was told that Desiree lived up that way. Did Carmine ever talk about Little Nicky and Harry Rockabini? What is that?
Harry Riccabini.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that, Steve?
No.
He said, David, okay. Gotti to abuse. Oof. Gotti to abuse Carmine's son, Alley Boy. Alley Boy was talking shit about Gotti, and it got and yeah, I knew Alley Boy and his brother. Okay, so what is this? Monk Eastman. It said Gotti too. I don't know if probably John Jr. abused Carmine's son, Alley Boy. Alley Boy was talking shit about Gotti, and it got back to him. And yeah, I'm from the neighborhood. I knew Alley Boy and his brother Larry and sister Barbara. I don't know. They get into it. The Gottis and Carmine's Alley Boy. Do you know? Did they get into it?
Back to who? I never heard of anything, and I don't think that Johnny Jr. is going to be pushing around Alley Boy by no means.
No, I totally agree with Steve.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about either one. I ain't gonna lie.
I've never heard anything about that.
Alley Boy wasn't one to duck.
So Giovy Looney, Giovy Looney, let's eat. That's the name. I personally knew Andy Mush. He never rat in a million years.
And I agree 100% with that.
So and in case you don't know, I was I knew Jojo Russo real well, and I was there when he died. Hi, Robert Rosso, Charlie from the Bronx, and Stevie. My first visit to the site. Claudio Perry, what's up? How you doing? Do the NYT and New York Post ever tell the truth? I doubt it. There are propaganda outlets for the deep state. That's correct. 5835.
Anytime the New York Post, anytime they did a mob article, the sales would go up through the roof.
Oh,
especially if it was the Gotti or Persico name. That's a proven fact.
Okay. Oh, I know what Monk's trying to get at now. Okay. Here we go. Monk is trying to say the same guy who said that about Gotti 2 abused Carmine's son. Okay, or he might be saying that about the dad. Gotti, maybe Gotti. It's Gotti T.O. Gotti 2 abused Carmine. So maybe he's saying Gotti also abused Carmine's son. But then he wrote this. Maybe that's why Carmine hated John Sr.
No, Carmine hated John Sr. because Carmine was friends with Castellano.
Yeah.
That's why. And Carmine wasn't there. Carmine was, from my understanding, Carmine was locked up when they whacked Castellano.
He would have never gave the okay.
Till the day that I had left, used to say that they would have never lived through to get the permission, the position that they did if he would have been out after they pulled that stunt. That's why he didn't like him.
Yeah, and
we used to tell people that it wasn't. It's not like
that's not like secret intimate knowledge stuff.
He really liked Paul, and he was close with Paul, and he didn't think that these guys. Carmine was very strict, he was by the book of the code that they had.
Yeah.
And he believed that before you go and do something, you get permission to do it.
Well, that was the setup. That was the foundation.
There's a hierarchy and there's an order of doing stuff.
So, So I remember he said that.
Just like with Johnny G, God rest his soul. I was real close with Johnny G. He's dead now, so I don't have an issue talking about him. Okay.
Real quick, stop. Wait, stop. Stevie was real close with Johnny G and visited Johnny G after they both got out of prison. Go ahead.
Okay. And the Gaudis hated Johnny G, and they were in the same family. I mean, it's proven fact. Junior was going to try to have him whacked.
I'll tell you the story. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. I'll tell you this. This is how smart Johnny G was. He ordered limo service just so they can have some type of Jesus. So they couldn't do it. So they knew that they were there outside waiting.
Oh, what do you mean, Chuck? I'm sorry, I missed it.
So when they tried luring Johnny G to a place, and they were supposed to whack him, and I think actually Junior
over money over construction.
Junior actually, Gotti Junior, I think might have even come out and talked about it, or somebody that rolled. It was made public. I don't know, like a year or two ago. Some informant or somehow they found information. It was in there how they were trying to lure Johnny Junior. And he was supposed to come alone, and he came with somebody else, and they had rented a limo. So there was documentation that there was a limo there. The limo pulled up outside. Originally, Junior was going to have a couple. Wasn't that Albanian kid that ended up rolling?
Yeah.
Junior's best friend. He's the one that told the story, I believe. So Johnny G was supposed to go upstairs, some apartment for a sit down. And as soon as he walked through the door, they wanted to whack him and basically make the body disappear. But when
called it off.
Somebody else and in a limo, they had to basically call it off because there was too many other variables that they couldn't go through.
Okay. I got you. What about Sammy the Bull? You guys remember talking about Sammy the Bull at all?
He did. We used to talk about people that are rats. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Carmine used to tell me, because, you see a lot of guys in prison and they see a rat and they go to check him in and get rid of him. And, he used to say how Sammy the Bull, even though a rat, he was a stone cold killer. He was a stone cold killer. Yeah. And there's a lot of guys.
He lived the life to the fullest.
And we used to joke around about how a lot of these kids used to use the name rat, like rat makes rat to somebody's a weak person. It might be weak-minded or you're weak in other areas, but by no means is every person that's ratted a pushover.
Okay.
And he did give Sammy the Bull his props about that.
Well, he started out with Junior.
Yeah, I knew that too. That's why I was letting you guys answer. I didn't know. And again,
He was in his teens when he started with Junior.
Yeah.
Sammy was part of the Gallo War.
Yeah. And so I'm not friends as in seeing her, but I have talked to Angel, John Gotti's daughter, and I like Angel. Okay. I have said things about her father that we disagree with. I do know that Carmine said that one of the deals with Big Paul was he said that, in other words, Paul had the business sense and a thug took him out, is basically what he said. That's how he referred to John. That was out of anger, and then Victoria's show drove him absolutely bonkers. You know what I mean? But not just Victoria. It wasn't about her. All that stuff. You know what I mean?
It was too publicized. Carmine liked to keep stuff under wraps.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. He hated the flashiness of
I'll never forget jumping on the bunk up at night, 11 p.m. Guy brings in the Five Families book, knocks on the door, says, "Mr. Persico, can you please sign the book for me?" This just starts ripping the pages up. Okay, that's how much he hated that book.
He used to go around and take all the posts. If anybody else got the post, if it had anything written in it, Carmine. If
Chucky, you see him just rip them out.
Yeah.
He used to go and take them and rip any mob stories out of it, so these guys wouldn't read them.
Yeah. Well, the TV, if anything was coming on about special Michael Francis, the one day when he yelled at the TV, Chucky, was because there was too many people there already. It was a full area. If it was just us, he would have change it or got up and changed it,
Even you remember he even got really disgusted with what was that FBI? Jackie Garcia? He got Greg DePalma. He was watching that. He was sick over it.
Oh, yeah. So Carmine liked Greg, because I was there. That's how I met Carmine originally. He had a lot to say about Greg, about Greg being a moron and stuff, but he did like Greg. Greg knew a lot of famous people too, Hollywood stars and this and that. Oh, what about The Godfather? What about the movie The Godfather?
That was based on his life.
Based on Carmine's life. So everything in that movie, everything in that's based on the Colombos in his life. So the guy the producer of that is actually Alley Boy's godfather.
Correct.
He baptized Alley Boy. So everything is based on it, just like one of Carmine's daughters, the oldest one, had a husband that was a piece of shit. And I think he's on vacation somewhere. Nobody's ever seen him again.
Down in Australia.
Yeah. He's living in Australia somewhere. It's all based on his stuff, that whole thing.
Okay.
It's funny, with the hospital.
Even when they go in the bar.
And he has them move him, the son comes to move the dad from the hospital. It was based on when Carmine got shot and checked himself out, but they changed some stuff.
Yeah. So who was involved? Did he go out to Hollywood? Who went out there and
At that point, they had they were everywhere. I mean, I don't think that he went out. I think that they just
Scarpa went everywhere for him.
I mean, what was the club they used to go to? He used to always talk about the Copacabana, how it used to be, and how it was now.
Right.
And he was telling me that
there was that one. There was the Peppermint Lounge.
The Copacabana. He always had his table right up front, and any famous person he had met. And who was that chick he used to date back in the day? Not Barbara Streisand. What the hell was her name? She was like a movie star / singer.
Peggy.
Who used to date?
She still used. She would visit him and write him.
Carmine. Oh my God!
I can't think. Man,
I think she was in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Is the mother? Was that her?
Oh Jesus! I forgot. Real quick, while you think about that, I gotta respond to this guy I think he's one of my haters. His name's Jimmy Boy. and they're laughing at me because of Bernie Madoff, because I didn't know. I'm going to get so much shit for that. He said, Rob's been saying basically Bernie fell for over a year. Jimmy Boy, and he's, haha, Rob bought it basically. Jimmy Boy, I've been saying that Bernie fell since 2010 or 11. So you can go, if you want to cut me up, go back further. I even wrote an article about it and believed it hook, line, and sinker. So you can laugh at me all day. And you can see by my expression that I was totally stunned. And who the hell is that? Okay, I got to shut this off. One of the things is that's, if you see me stuck, it's because something like that, Carmine would have like told me most of the time. And I'm just thinking out loud that maybe he did not, because he thought I was off my rocker over like I pulled the straight razor on that kid G, and he like flipped out. So I don't know if maybe that's why he, imagine that, me off my rocker. Anyway, so I was just thinking maybe he did. Who knows? But yeah,
it was me and Carmine standing right behind you while you were in the shower.
Yeah, no, I know that incident, but I'm saying, like, how did I miss that Bernie really didn't get beat up? Like, I feel almost foolish, I guess. At the same time, it's like, how the fuck, that button's so small? You know what I mean? But it's not like I went around looking at everybody's business. It's true. But
no, and I will say I'm guilty of. I've had people ask in the past if he ever got hit, and I kind of said no, because it wasn't like he got beat up. I think this kid gave him one good
he
smack.
got, but hey, listen. Yeah, he
just got smacked.
Yeah, he got one good smack.
Hold on. He got a blood pressure. He had a cracked rib.
He bruised easily.
Yeah, it's true.
But it was, it was like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Talk about Carmine double-crossing the Gallo brothers. Any insight there?
I mean, that's way before our time, too. And that was also part of the Godfather movie when he choked Larry Gallo in the bar. That's a real bar in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
That incident really happened.
Did he ever talk to you about Gallo stuff? I mean,
not really, no.
We
used to talk about some of the old timers. These are people like Chucky said way before our time. But he used to tell me the one guy, and I can't think of his name, the guy that cut Lucky Luciano. The guy that cut him, Carmine told me that in real life, that guy hated Carmine. Carmine was just a kid.
Really?
Yeah, and Carmine used to tell me that there was a few times that guy would have probably tried to assault Carmine if Carmine wasn't with the guys he was with. That guy hated him. And then he said one of his favorite, one of the best things he remembers was when he got his rank, and his rank was higher than that guy's, and then that guy had to kiss his ass, even though he knew deep down inside that guy hated him.
Frankie Shots, you put him on all the way.
Okay, no, I'm trying to read something. Yeah, I'm getting clowned my ass off. I knew I would. Did he ever mention Santa Claus from Philly? He was a shakedown artist with Ralph Natali, John Stanford crew. I don't know. You guys, that sound familiar?
Going. You want to talk about Philly? You want to talk about what you had said? Retract. Go back a little bit. You want to talk about the outshining the boss. Here you had Salvi Testa, who ran the Executioner crew, and gets taken out by the order from Nicky Scarfo's order, because he was outshining the boss. And he played that whole scenario. Came out when Phil Leonetti spilled all the beans.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, thanks, Donald. I appreciate it. You donated $5. I appreciate that. Thank you. There's no way Persico is an informant. Now, this is content. Government just trying to start a problem, have them fighting against each other. Carmine was a stand-up guy. The government used the mob during World War II for capturing ports in Sicily. None of the Persicos were rats. A lot different than going on the stands and testifying. Talking about Mob Rats 1. Thanks for the donation. I appreciate you, bro. John, American Downwork, Mob Rats. That's exactly saying Carmine was a rat is just clickbait by some a-hole journalist. Okay, I get these guys agree too. Scarpa had the weight of a captain and the respect, and he was feared more than captains. They called him a rat. He shot him. So dirty cops, not the same as Fed handler. Did Carmine ever speculate on JFK? Ever? Did you, Steve, or Chuck?
No.
Okay, so that was all part of what he considered government. That's like the Colombo thing, right? He felt that he did feel JFK, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King. Basically, I guess it would be J. Edgar Hoover. I mean, he believed it was all government, government hitman or CIA or whatever that was behind all those.
He never got into details on the whole JFK thing. I mean, all he did say is that he wasn't the person that went down for the crime was not the one that committed it.
That did it. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Dale Strain, I'm just looking. Dale Scarpa was a scumbag. Having a license to kill from the feds doesn't make him a tough guy. Carmine was super intelligent. His trial judge complimented him on his intellect and the way he defended himself. Craig, 58-35. That indeed. And let me tell you, I was out walking the track one day. These guys know I used to walk 2 hours every day before I started gaining weight daily like I am now. And I listened to NPR, and they were talking about gang intelligence in Los Angeles. They brought somebody that was head of the mob task force to Los Angeles to take down Crips and Blood gangs or whatever the deal was. And they were talking about the top leaders of those gangs were smart guys. And then he was going on about top mob guys. And he said, by the way, I'm paraphrasing, that Carmine Persico was one of the smartest guys he ever ran across in his life, that he, with the 4th grade education, could be running any Fortune 500 company. Boy, I hated to even tell Carmine that because we used to get in these little political battles back and forth sometimes. And boy, he just beamed. I'll never forget that. Yeah, but that judge did say that, and he was. You know what, Carmine? One of the regrets he had? Education level, because he said words mattered. He couldn't express himself with the proper words that he wanted to. He would say that to me sometimes. As I started writing more, and he would read my work or something, and that's what he had said. That he wished he would have, had more education, schooling, But I mean, he was well read. He read paper from front to back every day, right, Steve?
Yeah, he read
He kept track of what was going on the outside. Different.
Okay. Here we go, Ricky B. I just looked up about Carmine being an informant, and it looks like there is a document. I hope it's a fake one. You know anything about it?
I don't believe it. I won't entertain it. Sorry.
Okay.
I just won't entertain it.
Thanks, Brad. Hit X on the top right corner of your screen, and you can see a hit the like button. Live chat will miss a word. Harry Hunchback from Philly, Little Nicky decimated his crew and family. Still got jailed to death. NSA lunatic, Salvia T. R.I.P. Salvia T. I'm not sure. Sounds about
Salvi
right.
Testa.
Okay. What is that about? NSA lunatic. Nicky Scarpa, a lunatic? Is that what they're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. With respect, always Rob, Charlie, and Steve. So people are, in general, liking the show. Carmine and Gotti Sr. both wanted to whack Giuliani. And they wanted to whack each other. I think, right? Am I right thinking that Harry the Hunchback stuck fat? Hey, wait a minute. What did Carmine?
At 4'11", Harry the Hunchback was no joke. The Scarfo sent an assailant to shoot him, shot him 5 times, and Harry still took the gun from him.
Oh, okay. I know the story. So here, Sean, real quick. Gotti didn't have a choice. He had to do what he had to do. He's talking about killing Big Paul. I get that. So there was rumors that Big Paul wanted to have the guys that were involved in drug dealing killed, right? Am I correct? So, yeah, I'm just saying that the word Carmine used. The criticism about John Gotti that I don't know, that I heard was he said something about thuggish or a thug. He was nobody, came out of nowhere and took out the boss and didn't like the flamboyancy and thought that New Jersey, oh God, the Jersey Shore. Oh man, he would have had Snooki. All of them. That's
all of them. I remember when we watched, Mob Wives were on one night. Those guys were watching. That's when Sammy the Bull's daughter was on it. Dating the black guy. And Carmine fucking loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that's right.
He was like, what a payback to Sammy the Bull. He's saying that his daughter's getting broke down right now by that big ass black dude.
That was a good way of putting it. That was a nice way of putting it. So let's be correct here. It was from a different era. That was before the Kardashians came out and made biracial relationships.
I gotta say one thing about Karen. Karen, man, let me tell you, business-wise, business sense, one smart girl, boy. She knew how to make money.
Okay, so there's somebody kind of putting you guys on. Well, not Carmine was on the street till 86. Paul was killed in 85. So,
but Carmine had just gotten out. Carmine was an outlaw before he got arrested on that last charge.
Okay, right, there were two meetings.
On the street, was he on the street when Paul got killed? You know?
I don't.
Rob,
think it was.
You can, Rob. I know you know this story.
I don't.
There were two separate meetings. One with him and Fat Tony. He saw the FBI from. I don't know, from the window. I don't know if the FBI did it on purpose, but they got up and they left. If you recall, and then he was on the inside when it happened, and Jerry Lang went to that meeting that got him all the commission case, and he was out and on the run.
So I know that from talking, because like I said, I was a little kid at that time. I was
Correct.
born in 81, so in 85 I was 4 years old. Okay, but from what Carmine was telling me, and from what was the prison he was at that the warden used to let him go out?
Lompoc.
No, he was at a low.
Yeah, that's the one he got caught with the bribe.
The warden ended up going to prison because the warden used to take Carmine to his house. Alley Boy used to bring girls down to the house. Carmine would get laid all weekend, and the warden would bring him back Sunday night.
Oh,
he was at a low. Carmine was telling me right after he got out of prison, he wasn't out long when they caught the commission case.
The warden used to come hang out at the house.
Yeah,
right?
The warden used to go hang out in New York. He used to go to Brooklyn, hang out with them.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a low somewhere. Where was it? It was somewhere down south.
Well, let me see what this is. Rosso is such a flat out liar, man. You can't take him serious. You don't have to like people, but making up Nadeau coming out with that story is completely made up. Jeff Nadeau never called Carmine a rat. Hey, Jeremy Smith, I did not say that Jeff Nadeau said that. I read a comment, jackass. Go back and check. I hate stupid people. I mean, if I say, look, fair criticism, you guys want to blast me for the rest of my life about sticking up for Bernie, go for it. Fair game. That's fair game right there. You see my whole reaction. So
hey, Bernie never did me wrong. I was
no.
Bernie.
No. I'm saying I don't care about criticism in which I did, or I could even laugh myself. Stupid shit pisses me off. Godfather movie based on Persico. Oh shit. Carmine was born on the other side. My favorite mob guy is Al Capone. How original am I? Jeff Nadeau did a whole show.
No, that's another guy he used to laugh at. Capone.
Yeah.
Because he was telling me that when Capone was in New York, he said he didn't have a fucking pot to piss in or a window to throw it out.
Yeah, he was born in Brooklyn.
They ran him out of New York. He went to Chicago, and then next thing you know, he's one of the most powerful men in America.
I can't answer this right now. Damn it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Barbara Streisand.
That's who that was.
That's the girl.
Yeah.
Colin O'Donnell. There you go. Ding, 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 ding. That was the one. Yes. Al Capone, Bertha Butt, Fat Greek Fat Greek Wedding. What are you talking? Are you talking about Steve? What are you saying? I don't know. One of those.
No, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Who was the girl that was? I think wasn't she in there? The one that he just said, whatever the hell name was. Wasn't she the mother?
Just hit Google, see who it was. I don't remember. I thought the lady's name was Peggy or something.
The lady was.
Yeah. So again, I want to say that about Jeff Nadeau. Jeff Nadeau has a good show. My only problem with Jeff Nadeau is that he told me to never talk about mob guys and that FBS was a piece of shit, this and that. And then I see him on there palling around. That's it. But Jeff Nadeau does very good content, I do believe. I don't know if he said Carmine was a rat and put out stuff. I've got somebody saying he did a show about it. I got somebody, I don't care. I was repeating what was in the chat. Chad Marks, are you in here, Chad? Oh, there he is. What's up, Ron? Okay, Chad Marks is in the house. That's a big deal. Chad is a beast. Should have followed his footsteps. Instead, I got caught off in fucking mob drama. The Godfather was based on Carmine's life. That's hilarious. Producer was Alley Boy's Godfather, ? Alley Boy was born in 1955. The Godfather came out in 1972. So Alley Boy got baptized when he was 17. What do you guys know about this?
What is he talking about? What's that got to do with?
Okay, so this person is basically saying
Scorsese's the one that's Alley Boy's godfather.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Alley Boy's godfather. What's the timeline of when Alley Boy was born to when the movie was made got to do with it?
I don't know.
That's like the dumbest thing. Whatever that person is that they're saying.
Okay, I'm going to read it again. Monk Eastman. The Godfather was based on Carmine's life? ? That's hilarious. Producer was Alley Boy's Godfather? ? Alley Boy was born in 1955. The Godfather came out in 72. So Alley Boy got baptized when he was 17? ?
No, we didn't say he got baptized after The Godfather was made. That's like
yeah, I know. But listen.
Scorsese, or whatever the hell his name is, couldn't have baptized him in 1956?
Yeah, that's just
that I know for a fact. So they can question mark it all they want.
Okay, nice rope burn. Nice rope burn on Gallows' neck. What? People just okay. Did Carmine tell any stories about Anthony Center from the DeVale crew? They were Lompoc together.
No,
I'm not that. Okay, I see you thinking there, Steve. But it's, they gave Al Capone the scar. He's talking about Frank Galucio that gave Al Capone the scar. Frank who?
I don't know. I don't remember the guy's name. I just remember Carmine talking. Said the
Frank's sister had a nice ass. Charlie, who's you? Charlie, they want to know who you are. Octavia wants to know. Charlie, who's you? Who are you, Charlie?
Who am I?
Hey, Rob.
I'm a pizza restaurant guy. That's who I am.
Okay. So somebody's clowning that dude, Monk. Are you that stupid? What does the date the Godfather release have to do with Alley Boy?
Yeah, that's like the dumbest thing ever. We didn't say he baptized him during the movie.
Tommy Desmond or Jimmy Burke? Did Carmen ever talk about Tommy or Jimmy Burke? Oh, hey, Chuck, you got this girl likes you, Chuck. She wants you to move your glasses and hat and we'll video call you, ? Chuck's married.
Nah, I'm good. I have no disrespect. No disrespect. I'm happy.
Oh, so I'm gonna be honest. So she's been talking about it, and yeah, okay, I got you. Steve, dirty room out there. Still some new clubs. If I had what? Steve, dirty rumor out there. I have 2 social clubs. If I had, I'd have 200. I don't think they're talking about you. Anyway, I just got here. Who's on the bottom? Boy, Steve. James, I just got here. Who is the bottom? Hottie Russo? Talking about you. You can't say it's a guy. You got to be respectful. Remember what era we're wearing now.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the compliment, right?
Thank you, bud. My barn door doesn't swing both ways.
Stevie, I gotta say, truthfully, you haven't aged a bit. I haven't seen you in a few years, but you haven't aged a bit.
Hey, straight up, that's true, Steve. And by the way, I just want to put it out there. Steve's got a beautiful wife. I'm saying that respectfully. Why did he die in prison? Okay, so they're talking about. All right, listen, you guys. I'm gonna have to get off, even though I know we can think of a lot of things because people are asking questions. The problem is that I have a wife that is going to be
upset. And I got to go home because I came straight from work,
and I got to leave for work at 5 a.m.
Okay, no, The Godfather was based on a mix of Russell Buffalino, Carlo Gambino, Frank Costello. They're saying that was
there is some parts in there that are based on Carmine.
Oh, so it was a mix, is what? What say you guys?
Okay, Carmine personally told me
things based on Columbo's or not. I just know that Carmine had a personal relationship with Scorsese, that he baptized his son Even if you look it up, actually, if
James
people
Caan
wanna
used to go to his
fact check me-
house.
if people want to
Okay.
fact check me, I think that either during when Michael went for bail, I think that Scorsese, whatever the hell his name is, sent a letter to the judge how he's been personal friends with the family
Yeah.
for like 50 years now.
Okay, so listen, you guys. So people are saying when we're going to do part 2, but here's the deal. Outside of Carmine, Steve was good friends with Johnny G and Chucky. Who were you trying to get me to do a story about? We were talking about not long ago.
Johnny Moose.
These guys, but you were going to get him. What was the deal with you?
I was going to pick him up during COVID.
So these
he was
guys-
2 weeks away from the door.
Who,
So
Moose?
these guys,
Yeah.
Moose.
I knew Moose too. Why would
So-
I?
I was taking care of him the whole time he was inside.
Moose. He was at the Dews.
Yes.
Okay, so
He used to walk there. I was going to pick him up.
okay, listen. So I'm going to go get off, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to get these guys back on soon. Stevie's a hard one to get a hold of at times. You know, he's
You
elusive.
catch me at my restaurant anytime.
What'd you say?
I said I made it happen though.
No, you did.
I told you
did.
yesterday.
Hey, you scared me, dude, because I didn't hear from you. I was like an hour to go. I'm like, oh, don't do this to me right now, because I like let people down so much by saying shit. That's the truth.
Stevie, Detroit, where it's at, Michigan.
Yeah.
Hey, there's people.
sometime.
There's people that are fans of you two. Your looks, by the way. All right, you guys, take it easy.
All right,
Hey,
bro.
Stevie,
I'll talk to
get
you guys
my
later.
number from Robert.
I'm gonna get your number, bro. I'll be in touch.
Make
Okay,
sure you call me.
I
I
will.
expect a call by tomorrow.
I will, bro.
I'll
All
send
right.
it over. I'll talk to you
Love
guys
you
later.
guys.
Thanks for coming on. Bye.
All right,
Love you,
take care, guys.
Bye. Take care. All right. In broadcast.